Hi, everyone. This is Marilyn Bradford, and I would like to welcome you to my Left Turn podcast. What is your left turn? Writing a blog, parenting in a different way, letting go of the old because you are aware of something greater. Left turns are choices we can all make. It's about a willingness to step into the unknown in any area of your life, to trust yourself, to risk creating or trying something new. It's about letting your true uniqueness shine. The greatest people who have lived, artists, statesmen, writers, explorers, musicians, have all been people willing to turn left. What capacities do you have that you have not acknowledged? What would your life and the world be like if you were willing to turn left? Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Left Turn podcast. Today, I have a marvelous man, Bret Rushia. I'm going to read the bio, but I also want to say Bret is, in the best sense, one of the most humble people I know. You wouldn't guess how incredibly creative, kind, generous, smart he is. He just kind of goes about life and does what he does. And it's like, oh, wow. Okay. But anyway, here's his bio. Bret Rushia is an Access Consciousness certified facilitator and a member of Mensa, who has been using the tools of Access Consciousness for over 13 years. Currently, he is the content wizard of Access Me streaming app, curating the user experience with his vast knowledge of the 30-plus year history of Access class recordings. By the way, that's a marvelous app. If you don't have it, you should get it. Bret is one of the lead creators for the annual Global Access Bars a Day live stream media event, along with his girlfriend, Georgia Watson, who he frequently co-facilitates classes with. Bret is available for private facilitation sessions. Some of the topics that Bret excels in facilitating are all aspects of creativity and the creative process, business innovation, complex relationships, vulnerability, humor, and being you. Love it. Welcome, Bret.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marilyn. Thanks for having me and asking me on this
Oh,
podcast. It's
you're
great.
very welcome.
I always, every time you have a new episode, I'm always like reading the emails that go out and everything, and it's just so cool to see who you've had on and what they've talked about, and just
Yeah,
all these different people who have chosen to create something different in their lives when all the powers that be and their lives and society and their family all were expecting them to go down one direction.
exactly. Exactly. So, Bret, I'd love to know what some of your left turns are.
All right, cool. All right, I'll start with a one of my like I think one of the big left turns for me that uh really changed my whole trajectory of my life is when I was a teenager. I basically grew up, got really into music, did all sorts of musical things. um, I ended up uh, playing the French horn and getting to travel the world and go be
Wow.
all these different organizations, because there aren't a lot of French horn players in the world, especially in high school. um yeah
That's
so
amazing to get to
yeah
travel like that in high school.
yeah, it was incredible, because I was in beforehand. I was playing the trumpet, and I was like the middle of like 12 trumpet players in our school. And so the teacher asked if uh if anyone wanted to switch instruments, and I was like, yes, I would love to switch. I want to play tuba. And he's like, no, you're playing French horn.
Okay.
I was like, no, I want to play the tuba. He's like, no, you're playing French horn. And I'm like, okay, fine. So after 6 months of making only fart sounds with the French horn, I started
Imagine.
yeah, I started actually like getting better at taking lessons, and then that just propelled my life in this totally different direction. So I would actually say I wasn't expecting that to be my first left turn, but that was. And I got to have so many different experiences, and I got into different colleges, and I ended up getting to move away from my parents, which was a great left turn, and go to school in Virginia, where I grew up in New York, and I got to play French horn throughout college.
That's exciting. Do you ever play it anymore?
No, I hate it now.
Oh, oh dear.
Yeah,
Well, a lot
college
of
kind of
times,
ruined it for me.
yeah, things only last a certain amount of time.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I still have a nice uh piece of memorabilia I have on my lip up here. If you're listening to the
Yeah.
podcast, you won't be able to see it, but I've got this little bump here. That was from playing French horn.
Okay. A memory, a
Yeah,
reminder.
exactly. Yep. But yeah, so that opened up this whole field, and that would lead me into a next left turn, but I feel like I'm just talking way too much. Am I talking way too much?
No, no, you're supposed to be talking. That's
Oh,
the
I'm
whole
supposed to be
idea.
talking. Okay, good.
Yes.
This is the whole idea. Great. So I get to the basically I get to the end of my college experience, and I was pretty much depressed. I was 260 pounds. Um,
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, I was 260 pounds. I was drinking often, but not very heavily. I've always been a lightweight. I was like smoking pot and dabbling in light psychedelics, and um, it was not all very mild and not like a lot of the other stories I've heard from people, but and I I didn't want college to end. I didn't want it because basically the life path that I had, where I saw my life going, was that I was going to finish college. I was going to have to move back in with my parents and get a regular job, and then just do that the rest of my life, however long that would be.
That has a energy to it.
Yes, that was what my mom especially wanted of me. That's what it was like, societal. Like I grew up culturally Jewish, not religiously Jewish, but that's kind of the thing, you know, it being the having the Jewish mother and taking care of your Jewish mother and all this stuff. So that was the life that was prescribed to me, and I ended up I ended up taking a left turn. I didn't even finish my semester in school. I um and I went back to live with my parents, and I got sick for like a year.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I that was the other another left turn. I got really sick with uh it's like multiple chemical sensitivities is kind of the overarching thing that it's called, where all different sorts of chemicals my body became very sensitive to, and I was having all these different reactions to things, and yeah, it was very intense. I lost 100 pounds in 3 months.
Oh my goodness, Brett. Wow.
Yeah, I changed my whole diet around and everything. I wasn't eating as much as I had a really bad diet. I think it's called the standard American diet, where it's like fast food and like lots of fried foods and just and candy and soda and yeah, beer and all that stuff. So I cut all that out. I went straight to organic food and everything, and I went to all these different doctors, and they kept telling me that I was just going to have to live with this thing that I had developed with the chemical sensitivities. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I was like basically like holed up in my room in my parents' house. And anytime I went outside, I had to wear a mask before it was cool to do that. Before everyone else did. I was way ahead of my time.
Yes, you were.
And I was like doing like 2 hours of oxygen a day, um, on like an oxygen tank, and going into Manhattan twice a week to do like heavy metal chelation and
My goodness.
Yeah, it actually turned out they did a test and there were all sorts of there's this like weird metal that was in my body, and what it turned out that was from was actually from French horn playing,
Oh,
because you hold the French horn in your like basically like you hold it like with both hands, like you hold it up and you have one hand inside the bell, and my arms and hands were always green from holding that and sweating.
wow.
So that was from the French horn that I actually had that heavy metal poisoning actually. So
So how did you get out of all of this? Because
all
you're
right.
really healthy, active, creative.
Yeah, yeah. So that was another left turn. um Basically it just got to this like really a horrible place where like my body started becoming sensitive to like electromagnetic fields and electricity and stuff. So I'd have my parents like turn off the electricity at night because I could feel the electricity going through the springs in my bed at night.
Wow.
And so yeah, it got so intense and I didn't know what to do and my parents didn't know what to do, and I was having to go outside like to poop and stuff because I couldn't go in the other parts of the house, and um yeah, so it got to the point where it was like winter and it just everything just kept shrinking, contracting,
Yeah.
life kept getting smaller and things kept seeming more dire, and I was like I'm either going to change this or I'm just going to like kill myself. I can't live like this. So I started seeing all these different I started seeing on the drive to Whole Foods, one of the only places I could go at that point. um it was incredible. Any other store I could go into, I could tell you what exact cleaning products they were using because
Oh, wow.
it was I was so sensitized to all that. And so I started seeing on my drive to Whole Foods there was this healer person. I kept seeing the billboard, and it was like healers, blah blah blah, and it had the website, and I passed it like 5 times, and I'd be like, I'm gonna check that out. So I went on my computer in one of like a brief part that I would go to because at that point also I was sensitive to the electromagnetics from the computer, so I would have like 20 minutes a day I would allow myself to go on the computer. And one time I remembered to go on there. I looked, I got the lady's phone number, I called her, and I was like, "Hey, I've never done any of this stuff before, but I've got all this stuff going on." And she was like, "Oh," she was like, "You have demons attached to you."
Oh, wow.
And I was like, "Okay, all right, bye." Click. But on her website, I was still looking at her website, and and I saw she did something called EFT,
Hmm.
emotional freedom technique, and she had you're not supposed to do this, but she had posted the entire EFT manual for download on her website.
Wow.
That's like with Access, if someone just put the bars manual on
Yeah.
their website. And so I downloaded it. I didn't know any better at the time, and I didn't really care. I was like, I'm getting this. I don't care if this is I don't care what if I'm supposed to or not. I need this. So I started reading the EFT manual and I started using EFT, which is like the tapping and stuff. And I started doing all that stuff, and I started changing the stuff I had going, the reactions that I had going on in my body with all these different chemicals and electromagnetics. And I found this lady online because I started using it and it started working and it was amazing. And then I called this lady and we did some sessions, and it my whole life changed. I realized I could change anything from the
Oh, wow.
energy of it. And
Yeah.
it was a huge epiphany for me where all of this awareness just opened up.
I'm going
And
to stop you
yeah,
right there
please.
because I think that sentence, I could change anything through the energy.
Yeah.
That's really big for people to hear. That's so cool, Brett.
Thank you. Thanks, Marilyn. Yeah, it was beforehand. I didn't have I had never done anything energetic except for music. I had done a lot of improvised music. I went around like performing my own like weird noise
Mm.
experimental music, and played in a lot of different bands, and had a sense of the energy of things without knowing I had a sense of the energy
Yes.
of things. Yeah. So from there, things just opened up like crazy, and I would basically do all these things when a reaction would come up from a thing. I would start using the EFT with it, and within about 3 months I was able to go outside again. um
Wow.
I was able to start using electricity, like electronics and electricity again, and not have my parents have to turn off the thing. I actually, um it was a big thing because I decided, like, it was around like Thanksgiving, and my grandparents were coming over for Thanksgiving, and after this whole year of hell, basically, I went, uh they were over for Thanksgiving. I decided I was well enough to, I'm like, I'm gonna go in the rest of the house. I think I've got this, where I won't have these reactions anymore. And so they were over, they were having dinner, and I rang the doorbell, and they opened it, and it was me, and I said, "Have room for one more?" And everyone was crying, and it was just, yeah, it was just
Really cool.
amazing, the end of that just like 9 to 10 months of hell that we all went through.
But you kept looking for something, and it
Yeah.
was not the Modern Medical Association.
Nope. I went down that route, and
Yeah.
they all told me that I was gonna have to deal with it.
And you're like, not happening. I'm not going to deal with this the rest of my life.
Yeah, I'm gonna change this.
Yeah.
And yeah, so from there, I basically looked for anything energetic and weird I could get my hands on, and I went to a spiritualist church where they did like mediumship, like talking to spirits was part of the thing, and I found I had a very uh high aptitude and like a lot of like skill with that immediately. So I started doing all that stuff and mediumship, and I started doing sessions with people where like mediumship sessions and all this stuff, and I wanted to change the world. That's what I wanted to do. I was like, as soon as I got better from the terrible illness I had going on that
Yes.
was unchangeable, I was like, oh man, everyone's going to be so excited to hear this, and that everything's changeable. I'm going to go out and tell everyone, and this is great, and energy this and energy that. And oh my gosh, the number of doors were slammed in my face, and people who I never heard from again were amazing. I'm sure you've had that experience
Oh,
too.
yes. Absolutely.
It's like nobody, hardly anybody. There were a lot of people who did not want to hear that this kind of
Yes.
change was possible.
Yes. Absolutely. So, how did you get to Access?
Oh, how I got to access this. I wanted to change the world. I started doing all this stuff. I was reading like 10 different books at once, all like self-help and like energy books and spiritual books and stuff. And I would literally just be like, oh, here's a piece, here's a piece, here's a piece, here's a piece. And after a while, I was like, a lot of these books that I'm finding, they're just saying the same things with slightly different words.
Right.
I want like the real stuff. Like I would like to change the world, and this isn't going fast enough. And then maybe a couple weeks later, the lady I had been doing sessions with, she sent me this link to an audio, like to a free thing that Dr. Dane here had done. And she said, my angels said you might be interested in this. And I was like, okay,
Okay.
cool. This is great. And then I like clicked on it. I clicked on it. It's like a Dr. Dane here. I hate doctors. I'm not gonna listen. I'm getting out of here. And so I for like 3 days, I was just like, nope, not gonna listen to it. And I kept thinking about it and be like, nope, nope, I hate doctors. Just gonna be the same crap I've been listening to is slightly different words. I was pretty disenfranchised at that point with a lot of things. And so eventually I was like, you know what? Colleen, the lady who I worked with, who's amazing, she changed my life. And I was like, Colleen sent this to me. She's going like she's changed my life basically. I think I'm gonna check this out. I'm gonna check this out. I'm gonna give it a try. And so I went, and the date that it was, the expiration date was up on the free audio. And so I was like, oh damn, I missed my window. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna press play and see if it still works. And I pressed play and it worked. And oh my gosh, within like 5 minutes, I heard the tool "Who does this belong to?" that Dane gave, and I used it, and I could perceive all this depression that I had been living with go out literally to the different people in my neighborhood. I could perceive it go out
Wow.
like these little like
Wow. Yeah.
energetic tentacles back out to them, and I haven't been depressed since. That was
In
like,
fact, you're known
yeah,
for being happy.
yeah, exactly. That was like 13 and a half years ago. Yeah.
It's like always happy. It's amazing.
Yeah, yep. It was all gone. It wasn't mine. And
Yeah.
yeah, that was another left turn where through that audio, I was like, whatever this is, I am doing it. This is creating the change immediately. And like literally, I was like laying on my bed as he did like a kind of like a sample session. My whole body was like flopping like on the bed. And I was like, this is amazing. And after I just felt so much lighter, and like it was it that right there just changed my whole world. And I'm like, whatever this is, I'm doing it. I'm looking what it is. I'm becoming a facilitator of it. Like, this is it. I'm going gung ho. And I did. I had no money at the time. And I used the access tools to create all the money for all these classes. And it just, from there, I started facilitating bars classes, traveling, facilitating classes, making money, traveling. I met my girlfriend, Georgia, and things just went.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, it seems like you took advantage of everything that showed up that you were going, oh yeah, I could do this. And if it didn't work, you just didn't do it.
Yeah.
But if it worked, you were right there, really.
Gung ho. Yeah. It's like one of those things where, like, to, sometimes when I am like less being me, I'll hear a story of somebody overcoming some disease, and since it was so long ago, it was like so many lifetimes ago, I forget that I had my own situation of overcoming an illness, and I'd be like, wow, if I only could overcome an illness, and then maybe I would just be have all this different motivations. Like, nope, I did that already. Like, I'm so grateful to be alive and to have all this stuff that I have, and like those momentary things, by the way, never mind. So when I'm being more of me, this is the me that I am. And I'm just I'm so grateful every day to be alive and to have this possibility of not having my life be the really contracted, horrible, dire thing that I thought it was going to be.
And that you changed.
Yeah. I was like, no way. I've got bigger fish to fry here.
So if you could give anyone listening to this just uh, empowerment, encouragement, I don't want advice is a weird word for us, but what
Yeah.
would you say?
Yeah. For people out there to really know that it's anything that is going on in life that seems impossible, it really only seems impossible. It's like we create everything in our lives. When I was going through the chemical sensitivities, the thing that changed it was actually acknowledging that I was the one who created it in the
Wow.
first place.
Yeah.
I created it to not have to get a normal job, to not blah blah blah, to not this, to not that, to have more free time, to blah blah blah. I created the that illness, and when I got that I was the one who created it, then I could change it. And that's the thing with anything in life, is looking at what choice you made that created this thing. And when you get the awareness that you actually did make a choice that created it, and you're not just the effect of it, then you can actually change it. Because if you're thinking it's outside of you, you're thinking someone did something to you, or it's just your body's doing something to you, then you don't allow yourself the power to change it. You're putting it outside yourself, which is the lie, because literally every single thing that shows up in your life, we're the ones who create all of those things. And I know because all of the crappy stuff that's been in my life, whenever I've looked at, okay, I'm actually creating this, it's been able to change. And before that point, not. No matter how much I wanted it to, no matter how much I tried to change it, thinking it was outside of me, no dice.
Well, that is wonderful. Thank you so much, Brett. This is a really interesting conversation. And
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I just appreciate you. Thank you.
I appreciate you too. Thank you so much. I remember one time, if I can add this, that you we traded a session of Symphony of Possibilities once, like probably in like 2015 or something like that, many moons ago. And I just remember after you worked on me, you asked for me to be the giant that I truly be. And that moment really changed my life. You like looking into my world and perceiving me as this giant being really has contributed so much in my life, and I go back to that often, and look to endeavor to be that all the time.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
Thank you so much for joining this episode of Left Turn. I wonder what embracing left turns could create in your life. What magical possibilities might show up. Remember, when you choose left turns, you are joining a group of the most creative and brilliant people the world has ever known.